Namaste and good morning to all of you. Let's start our Thursday class, Prashnopanishad, with the Vedic prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhu Bhuvaswaha, Tatsavitra Varenayam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Diyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Asto Ma Satgamya, Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamya. Om Sehna Bhavatu, Sehna Bhanatu, Seviryam Karvavahi, Tejasvi Navadhitamastu, Ma Vidvishavahi. Om Shanti 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 Om. We started looking at Prashnopanishads and through the introduction and the first verse. So I was telling you that there are 6 young students, Rishi Kumar. They go to Rishi Piplad and they say that we have some questions. Okay, and the names of those rishis are there too. So this particular Upanishad has 6 chapters. So each chapter, the student is asking a question, and rest of the chapter, Rishi Piplad is answering that particular question. Okay, so you should know the format of the book which you are studying. Okay, so in the first chapter, there are 16 verses. Okay, so we did the first verse. So let's look at the second chapter, the second verse. Tanah स ऋषि उवाच भूय एव तपसः ब्रह्मचर्येण श्रद्धया सुमत्सर समस्यथ यथा काम प्रश्नः पृषिथ यदि विज्ञास्यामः सर्वं होवो वक्ष्याम इति. So this is spoken by the Rishi Piplad, because the first verse was spoken by the Rishi Kumars, because they had the questions. So they came over there at the ashram of Rishi Piplad. So now Rishi is saying, Tan means them. Them means those young Kumars. Rishi, that means the seer of the Vedas. So means that. Uvach said, Bhuya, again. Ev means also, verily. Tapsaha, in penance. Brahmacharyen, in brahmacharya. Shraddhya, with faith. Samvatsaram, that means a year. Yatha kamam, according to the desire. Prashnan, questions. Prichat, may ask. Yadi means if. Vigyasya, that means no. Sarvam means all. Ha means assuredly, verily. Vakshyam. Vakshyam means shall tell. Iti means thus. So again, this is spoken by that Rishi Piplad to those young Kumars. He said, so that's why it says to them that Rishi said, stay here for another year. So that means they were already there for a little while, but he said, stay here for a year. What should you do while you stay here? Austerity. Tapasya. Brahmacharya. Control over your senses. And Shraddha, with faith. So tapasya, brahmacharya and Shraddha. Practice that for a year. Then you may ask as you please your question. And if I know them, I will surely explain everything to you. So this is, you can see that these are the qualifications we need to cultivate too, if we want to understand something so deeper. Because he knew intuitively that these Kumars, they have come to the ashram, not just for the blessings. Blessings come automatically when we follow what we need to do. So he said, practice this. So they were not allowed to just fire off their questions or their doubts. So this is a very traditional law of the study of Brahm Vidya. Sometimes we wonder, we are studying so much, but we don't see much impact. We got to see, are we cultivating these qualities on the other hand in our personality or not? So that's why this great master is telling them that if they want to ask, or if they want to evolve spiritually, make sure, or if you want to make use of these teachings properly, you'll have to conform to this strict discipline. This is what it is. Living a yogic way, living in Anushashan. So that's why he said that they should all live with him in the ashram. Because that's how these young Kumars, they can see what the Guru is doing also. Because this Rishi is living a life like that, and they can emulate their Guru. Strictly following the rules of self-control and faith for a whole year. I mean, you can see that for a whole year, if we live a life of a discipline, it does make a big impact on our personality. So he's clearly indicating the absolute necessity for the teacher and the taught, both of them, to get a kind of spiritual tuning up between them. Because he's already there, he's doing it, but he wants kids, those young Kumars also, to follow the same discipline. So that the words he uttered, they will make some impact on the kids, the students. So tuning up between them before because words are finite, but with the help of the finite words, he is going to explain the infinite. So that's why this tuning up is necessary. So importance of austerity, brahmacharya, and faith. Austerity gets rid of the inertia in our body, the tamsikta in our body. Austerity. That's why tapasya is very important. We need to get out of that inertia. Brahmacharya, what does that do? Brahmacharya relieves the psychological and intellectual debilities. Brahmacharya helps us. We are controlling ourselves. That's how psychological and intellectual, you see those part of your personalities, they are ready to absorb this Brahm Vidya. And faith, Shraddha, Shraddha sharpens our intensity and sincerity in meditation. All three are extremely important. Without these three, you can imagine only that we are walking on the path of spirituality, but we will not find the success. All we are doing is walking left and right and front and back, but essentially staying at the same place. There's no movement. And we often talk about brahmacharya. It's not only the control of the sexual organs, sure, that is very important, but all our organs should be under our control. But the sexual organ is very powerful. So that's why people just make sure that that organ is also in our control. In fact, our scriptures, they talk about brahmacharya as far as this sexuality is concerned. When you are, it's like a different rules if you're a householder and different rules for a in a first stage in life. That's why it's called a brahmacharya ashram. The schooling years, and these children were at that age. And there are 8 ways they say that control yourself, be on the brahmacharya. Thinking about the opposite sex with evil motives, that is going against the brahmacharya. Talking about them, playing with them, looking at them with lusty eyes, talking with them in solitary place, desiring them, trying to obtain them, and actually enjoying them. So in a detail, they talk about it. And it could be about opposite sex, or it could be about any other thing also. The object, which is called a Vishya Ananda. Like a finding pleasure or gratification in the Vishya with the help of these senses. So in a brahmacharya ashram, we are supposed to stay away from the Vishya Ananda. Move towards the Bhajan Ananda, and then ultimately move towards the Brahmananda. That's what we are supposed to experience when we are on the path of spirituality. So after the 1 year's training, this Rishi is promising that he will try to answer all the doubts of the students. He says, if I know. He is not hesitating to answer, or there's no intellectual hesitation in Rishi's mind, or a lack of confidence. It only shows the extreme modesty. Modesty of this, a man of wisdom, Rishi Piplad. That's what it is. But he does guarantee these students that I will surely explain everything to you. Whatever I know, I will give it to you. And this is a true teacher. True teacher who has no egoism or vanity. Meek and always good. Sometimes these teachers, they seem very harsh to the students, but that harshness is also for the discipline of the students, because that's needed. So this is what we read in this verse over here. I mean, you can see that how beautifully this whole scene is set up for us. Now let's look at the verse number 3, where this first student is asking this question, and his name is Kabandhi. Ath Kabandhi Katyayan Upete Paprash Bhagvat Kuto Hava Ima Prajayant Iti. Ath, afterwards, means after 1 year of the strict discipline. Not just after the Guru said that, no, after 1 year. Katyayana Kabandhi. That means the Kabandhi, the young son of Katya. So Katya is the name of his father. Upetye, having approached, Prapach, asked, Bhagwan, like often we call our Guru Bhagwan, God, or Sar. These days people say Sar. So it's like approaching to him with the reverence. Ima. Ima means these. That means whatever we see, whatever is visible to us. Praja, creatures. Kutaha, where. Ha, where. As they say, Prajayante, are born. Then Katyayan Kabandhi approached Piplad and asked, revered master, where are these creatures born? So that means whatever we see around us, where did everything come from? Another thing I want to mention, that austerity, because these three words he has used, there's a reason for it. Austerity mainly is the discipline and control of the body. Brahmacharya is a discipline for the mind. That's another way you can understand. Because it's the senses. Senses are connected with the mind. Austerity we do with the body mainly. We start with the body, mind. And faith is when we adjust our intellectual shape. So that means this whole apparatus of ours should be well in tune. So integral self-development and personality reconstruction is needed. And after doing that, he said, At now, or after doing that. So in other words, after such a vital and self-controlled physical, mental, and intellectual life for 1 year. Okay, so this is what we need to look at. Are we practicing Hatha Yoga, Raj Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Gyan Yoga to have some integration in our personality or not? Or are we focused only on one leg of our personality? Are we ignoring the body and just working only on the intellect? Or are we just concentrating only on the bhakti, love for God, but not even taking care of the body? It has to be a fully integrated personality. Okay, physical, mental, intellectual life. And now they are sitting around the teacher and asking this question. So Kabandhi is the one who opens up this discussion in this mantra, and this entire chapter is an answer to this question. Ultimate cause of all the pluralistic phenomena. That's what he's asking. Intellect wants to know. This is like a cause hunting its call. When we meet somebody, we want to know, what is the name? Where did you come from? Where do you live? Who are your parents? We even ask, because we have come from a different country, most of us, we even ask, where did you come from? Which country? Or if you know that it's from that country, which part of that country? So always our intellect wants to know what the cause is. So this is what Kabandhi is doing. Wherever we see the effect, or wherever the intellect is perceiving the effect, there's always an attempt to understand and seek for its cause. That's very natural for us human beings. So causation hunting its call. That's why, whether it's astrologers or astronomers, all these scientists, they are looking for the cause. Why and how? So student is asking for the source of all creation, and also by implication, he is inquiring why and where this pluralistic world has come from. Okay, different creatures. So if it's not only for human beings, but others also, the whole creation. So this intellect in this young person is impatient to find out an explanation for the perceptions of his mind. Immediate cause. So now we'll see the explanation given in this chapter by Rishi Piplad. Let's look at verse number 4. Because I'm sure you are curious too. right? Tasmai sahovacha prajakamo ve prajapati sa tapo aptapyat sa tapast tavaha sa mithunam utpadyate reim cha pranam cha etya to me bahuda praja karishyat iti. Tasmai, to him, sa means he, that means Rishi Piplad. Uvach, that means said. Uvach. Praja Kamaha, being desirous of creatures. Prajapati. Prajapati is who? Lord Brahma, Prajapati, the creator himself. Sa means that tapaha, penance. So even Prajapati did the penance to create. And over here, this penance means meditation, tapasya. Tapyat, performed. Sa means he, tapaha, meditation. Taptava, having performed. Again, sa means he. Mithunam upadyate. This mithunam over here means some kind of a churning. Cha. Ray means matter. Cha means and. Pran cha iti. Pran is the vital energy. Etau, both. Me means my. Bahuda, many. Praja, creatures. Karishyat iti. Karishyat means producing something, doing something. Iti means thus. He replied, Prajapati, the lord of the creatures, Brahma, decided to perform a penance. And having performed penance, he created a pair. Etau, that means two. Ray and Pran, matter and energy. Thinking that together they would between them produce creatures in many ways. And this is the mithun he's talking about. Okay? So between the matter and the pran, you need both of them. Pran alone cannot do anything, and the matter alone cannot do anything. It's a mithun between these two. So having both of them coming together. As the ego observes a world, the ego must necessarily seek to know how it has been created. So that's why this intellect, when we identify ourselves with the intellect, we want to know. The mind wants to know. It's like to know something. This is what's happening. So that's why this Lord of creatures, Prajapati, he desired to have creation. So desire is needed. Even in the Prajapati, if there was no desire, there won't be anything. Okay? Praja kamau ve Prajapati. But in order to have something, you have to work hard. So even the Prajapati had to meditate, do the tapasya. And in order to create the pair, matter and the energy. So total creation must be because of the total mind. Total mind, when it's project itself out, when it has gone within, there is a total stability, there's no creation. Creation is only when it projects outwardly. And this is what happened in Prajapati's, that I want to create. and the total mind, which is called Hiranyagarbha, also total mind. That includes not only the world of human beings, but also the entire kingdom of creatures. Okay, some of the creatures, they have a very rudimentary mind, but they are still there, like a plant, the trees, or even some animals, very rudimentary mind, but they are also part of this Hiranyagarbha. Okay, so the total mind concept is indicated by Hiranyagarbha, and I think most of you have heard this word before. It's like a golden womb, Hiranyagarbha. So subjectively, actually, Hiranyagarbha is nothing other than the creative potential. So potential is there. See, just like a seed or acorn. What is acorn? A potential oak tree. So this Hiranyagarbha is nothing other than the creative potential. Already in us as living human beings. So that which is Prajapati in the macrocosm, in Sanskrit is called Sumashti. Itself is a creative power in the microcosm, Vyasti. These are the two words, macrocosm and microcosm. So as an individual, it's a microcosm, Vyasti. As a whole, it's a macrocosm, Samasti. Just like we cannot have thoughts without a desire, and without thoughts, there cannot be either a mind or the world or these perceptions. So desire, as they say, is the very motive force which faithfully induces the power of the creative urge. And what happens with the creative urge? Then there's a manifestation. So this is the idea which this Rishi is bringing out, representing this subjective idea objectively. Okay, with the help of these examples over here. So the creator, the total mind, first of all, gets shot with this desire that he must create many. From one, there must be a creation of many. You can call it his own offsprings. That's why it's called he created what? According to Bhagavad Purana, Manas Putra. Those Manas Putra, 4 of them. Sanak, Sanandan, Sanatan, Sanak. You're familiar with that. So this Rishi is not talking about that, but he is just giving us this very deep philosophy over here, that from his own mind, the desires came and he did the tapasya and he created. So when this desire is felt, the total mind is thinking as to how he will go about with the business of fulfilling this desire. And what is tapasya actually? Not just meditating alone. Tapasya is thinking, planning, and remembering. Because it's not coming out of the blue sky. No. The seeds are already there. When the pralaya happens, it's not that everything is gone. It's unmanifested. From the unmanifested comes the manifested. So with this thinking, planning, remembering, together when he did the tapasya, creation started. And this creation, according to the Vedic philosophy, it did not start at any known point in time. Because if it's a fixed point in time is accepted, then we'll call it a creation hour. Then we will have to say that time was when creation was not. And that is not true. Time, is also part of the creation. So time itself is a created, perishable concept, according to the Vedic philosophy. That's why it's called creation is anadi, beginningless. It was not at that particular time or particular place or that particular day it started. It was not like that. So beginningless. And if it's beginningless, how are we to explain the creation that we see around us? What happens is after each dissolution, after each pralaya, the cosmic mind feels a deep desire to project itself out into its own world of multiplicity. And deliberately, there is a plan made, fulfilling the desire. First, his own desire, the Brahma's desire, and it remembers how the process of creation had come about after the previous pralaya. Because it's a cycle. How does it happen? And what should be the pattern of the world to be created? And what is the pattern? Pattern is according to the group vasanas, group impressions. Because where are the impressions? They are stored in our own chit. When we leave this body, this chit is going with us. The body is left behind, but chit goes with us. So that's why we find how the creator is really helpless in creating a Satyuga after the Dwapar. Collectively, because everything has gone into the more Tamsikta and the Rajsikta, it has to be Kali Yuga. Because sometimes we wonder why God can do this. Why can't it be just Satyuga all the time? It's a collective vasanas. So the creator is not in any sense of the term absolutely free to create as he likes. In fact, he doesn't even have any likes or dislikes, nor can he change the rhythm of nature to suit his momentary fancy. He got to go according to this whole cycle. And subjectively, if we observe and try to understand what happens in us daily, see, all of that we can understand it. Only then this macrocosm becomes clear to us with the help of the microcosm. Because during the state of the subjective pralaya of our world, and when is that? It happens every night when we go to sleep. That is a pralaya. Where are we at night? Do we know? When we are deep sleeping, that's a pralaya. Each of us is but a bundle of our own vasanas. Two people, one person could be a saint and the other person is a sinner. They are sleeping in the same, under the same roof. When they are sleeping, they look the same. It's like a pralaya. But when they get up, you will see that a saint will do saintly actions because of his vasanas. And the sinner will do the sinnings. So the same thing happened during this big dissolution too. So we carry our own vasanas, and when we come back again, it's almost like a getting up. So if this idea is understood, it's not at all that difficult to comprehend the cosmic mind. So individual mind functions the same way as the cosmic mind functions. So cosmic mind is nothing but everybody's mind and intellect together. So he created a pair, he says, the matter and the energy. So why did he create that? with the hope of fulfilling his great desire to create a multiple world. Okay, matter and energy. Matter, what is matter? Matter constitutes the mass and the girth in beings and things. That's matter. Energy is the vitality or the dynamism that makes the world vibrate with activity. So the creator, the creative energy in us is always anxious to bring forth the offspring. He did it through the thinking and the planning, and then he executed the thoughts by first all becoming himself his own two aspects. So where did it come from? From him itself. He did not pick up a matter from somewhere else. He did not pick up the energy from somewhere else. This is all part of God. Matter is also part of God, and energy is also part of God. It's almost like a relationship between the ray and the pran is, if you have a musical instrument, and then you have a music out of it. You need the instrument also, and you need the music also. Without the instruments, music cannot be played. And without the music, the instrument is what? A piece of junk. So both need each other. So for our life also, we need the matter also, we need the prana also, and this is what he created. The equipment and the music in it, both. So first there is a rise of a desire which generated thoughts, and thoughts pursued for a long time feed themselves on memories. And this is what that tapasya was. And they blaze into this self-projection. And ultimately, at the end, the creation of the necessary field of experiencing, which we call the lok, the world which came from. But after the creation, what happens? The individual mind, our own mind, lingers on with hopes of harvesting the fruits of our actions. That's what happens in us. And then the complete fall is when we reach the state of expectation. Not only the fruits, we attach our expectations to it. And that is the complete fall. But these rishis, we will see that he will tell us eventually that we need to become tranquil. Understand all this. Keep all this in your mind. But your goal is the tranquility, the ultimate peace. He will tell this to the students. The actions, thoughts, actions, fruits, expectations, all is just like it takes us down. But understanding why are we here? What is the goal? This is what we have to remember when we study the Upanishads. So even though we started the class a little later, but let's stop it here and go through some discussion also. I want to make sure that you're understanding. Upanishads are supposed to be studied slowly. Okay, this is not a novel we are reading. This is a very deep philosophy. And these questions are our questions also. They should be our questions. We need to wonder, where did it come from? And then do not let your mind slide down. That's why towards the end I said that fall happens. Because if we fall, then we'll have to rise up again with effort. We got to watch for that fall. Watch. Om Purnamada Purnam Idam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Thank you very much.